I want to tell you about the most important word in fitness and probably in life too, to be honest. And it's not motivation, the one you see written everywhere. It's not discipline, the one we talk about a lot when it comes to goal reviews and in-body scans. And it's not even consistency, even though I absolutely love that one. The word is resistance. And this is the thing nobody really wants to hear. You do not get stronger despite the hard thing, you get stronger because of it. The resistance is not the obstacle in the way of the result. The resistance is the thing that creates the result. Take it away and there just simply is no result. There's just comfort. And comfort left alone is a slow slide backwards, not a steady state position. And here's what I've learned, and this is like in the gym, this is in business, it's in my own head. It's comfort is not something you arrive at. It is that slow drift. It happens quietly when you're not paying attention. The only way to interrupt the drift is to choose purposefully to walk back into something hard. And that's what this episode is going to be about. It's why resistance is not the enemy of the good life. It's simply the price for it and the way to get you there. So welcome back to the Wicklow Strength and Fitness Podcast. It's me, it's Liam. How you doing? Hope you all having a great day so far. And to get into this story, I'm going to start just by talking about me and my own experiences with it and why I believe so strongly in choosing hard things and embracing hard things, and why resistance is the price we pay for a good life. And the reality is, like, if we talk just on the fitness side, like, I coach this thing for a living and I still have moments of drift. Lots of them. Moments where I choose comfort over doing the hard thing. There's stretches where my own training gets too comfortable and I end up going through the motions. And I always find ways to justify it in my head. But during these times, I'm lifting weights I know I can lift. I avoid doing the stuff that makes me breathe hard. And none of it actually at the time feels like a decision. It feels like necessity, and that's the trap. It feels like, oh, I'm really busy today. I have to get this done. I'm just going to do a quick 40 minutes so I won't go harder. I have something going on later, so I don't want to push too hard. I want to be fresh for that. It never feels like a choice. It feels normal. It feels like the natural thing to do, and that's the risk. Every single time for me, when it comes to training, the fix is the same. It's to, no matter what, just get back to training alongside people in our CrossFit classes. The thing that made me fall in love with fitness in the first place. But what's the best thing about it? Well, it's not that I love it in the moment. Definitely find it hard in the moment. But it forces me to work. You're putting me alongside other people who are working their asses off, doing the thing that I love and the thing that they come here and pay me for at the end of the day. It puts me in a room where I cannot coast. It reintroduces that resistance on purpose. I now have to work really hard on the weights because I'm surrounded by strong people who are pushing me to go heavier. I have to push myself harder in the conditioning sections because there's really fit people around and they're pushing me to go even harder. That's the reason why. I know that if I'm left to my own devices, I will quietly choose the ever so slightly easier version of everything. Like, I know if I had have done this Tuesday's workout that we did in the CrossFit classes, which was 8 rounds for time, 18 calories on the bike, 16 shuttle runs, and 18 kettlebell swings. I know if I had done that one on my own, I would have done it, and I would have convinced myself that I worked really hard, and I probably would have worked relatively hard. But the reality is, it would have taken me probably 2 to 3 minutes longer than when I did it in class alongside the people of the 5:30 crew at the time, and in particular Adam and Dylan, who came out of the blocks sprinting and forced me to keep pace. And if I hadn't have done it alongside those guys, I genuinely know it would have taken me an extra 3 minutes probably to get the whole thing done. And that's the first idea that I kind of want you to sit with if you're listening to this episode, if you're watching along on YouTube. Comfort is not neutral. while it might feel like rest, it is actually reverse, because your body, your business, your mind, your character, they do not hold positions. They respond to whatever demand you are placing upon them. And if the demand is nothing, the response is decline. And this is across the board. So the question never is, am I comfortable? The question is simply, have I drifted? And what am I going to do to interrupt that drift? And I guess here's why I'm so sure about this. And it's not a feeling. It's one of the most settled upon ideas in exercise science. And once you kind of understand it, once you've been around it for a while, you simply cannot unsee it. We know that the body adapts to exactly what you ask of it. That is true. Coaches call it the SAID principle, specific adaptation of imposed demand. It's a fancy phrase, but it has a very simple truth. You are always training your body to be good at whatever it is you're doing. You actually do, whatever you spend your time doing. So if you sit at a desk staring at a screen all day, your body gets very, very good at sitting at a desk and staring at a screen. If you lift heavy things and you get really good at lifting heavy things, that dictates what your body adapts to. If you run a lot, you're going to get better at running. You are how you move, and you are how you do not move. So the heavy lifter who does not run is a very different type of person than the runner who does not lift. Neither one is ideal, by the way, because they are lacking in something that makes them human and makes them complete and an all-rounder in terms of fitness. And the person who sits at a desk all day needs to actually introduce a bit of both. So now stack the second idea on top of that, right? We have lifting, we have cardio, we have all of that. But now we have progressive overload as well. Because your body only improves when the demand is greater than what it is used to. And this is where the coasting on weights thing I was talking about earlier comes in, because it can't be equal to, it has to be greater than. If you lift the same weight for the same reps forever, your body has absolutely no reason to change. It's comfortable. It's happy. 20 kilos for this exercise? Yeah, no problem. Easy. There's no stimulus to change because you have not asked it to. The moment you ask it for slightly more than it can comfortably give, that is the moment it is forced to adapt and become stronger, more robust, fitter. That discomfort, that is this a little bit too much feeling, is not a warning sign. It's the actual signal that growth has been requested from your body. And think about that. The improvement does not happen despite the hard part. It happens because of the hard part, because you chose to do the hard thing. The strain is the stimulus. No strain, no signal, no signal, no change. And here's the part that ties the whole thing together. When you're training, you're not building yourself up in that moment. When you come to the gym and you're doing squats, your butt and your quads and your hamstrings are not growing in the moment and becoming more stronger. They're actually breaking down. You're creating a stress that the body has to recover from. The adaptation, the getting stronger, the getting faster, the getting more powerful, that happens afterwards in the rest. In your sleep, in your recovery, like the eating, everything that happens outside of the gym, the other 23 hours of the day that dictates it. Resistance and recovery are two halves of the same process. The hard thing creates the demand and the rest banks the reward. Which gives us the honest caveat, and this is where a lot of, I guess, the quote unquote tough guy fitness things can kind of go wrong. You know, it's not go hard or go home. It's not, sweat is your fat crying. It's not show up on your shitty days. Resistance without recovery is not growth. It's just damage. If all you ever do is pile on stress, you do not let the body bank the adaptation. So you do not get stronger, you break down, even though you were choosing the hard thing. You just weren't allowing the body to change. So that's the honest caveat that we have to call out when we're talking about seeking resistance. It is that you have to also allow the body to recover in that and be kind to it in the moment when it has done the work. You have to respect the recovery that turns it into strength. Stimulus and rest always has to be both. Okay, so that's the physical side. And like the physical side is why most of us are joining gyms. But I actually want to talk a little bit about the mental side, sharpening the axe. And for this, I'm actually going to use WSF as a business and kind of talk about my own growth as a business owner and as a human, as I believe I have over the last number of years. I think this runs through everything. I think this choosing resistance runs through every aspect of your life, not just training. Like, I've run this business through some genuinely hard stretches, ones I don't really talk about. I'd never really want to be very, very public about them, but there's times when the numbers were not working. I have to do 14 to 16 hour days. Times when I have to put my own money in to prop things up a little bit, to keep things moving. Times when I had to look at every single expense and become so ruthless in what's needed and what's not, what's a luxury and what can go right now. Like times when I had to raise prices and stand there and deal with the blowback from people who weren't happy about it. People who say things, not very nice things, about your personal character because you've done that despite the fact that it was a necessity for the business. Like, that's tough. All of those things are tough, and none of it was comfortable. Every bit of it was resistance. And here's the thing that I can say now with genuinely total honesty: every single one of those hard stretches made me a better business owner. And I think it made me a better person as well. Not despite the difficulty, but actually because of it. The ruthless expense cut teaching me exactly, what actually mattered. The price raises, teaching me the value behind what it is we actually do. The long days teaching me of what I'm actually capable of when I need to roll my sleeves up and just get shit done. Like, that's a valuable feeling of knowing that your axe is sharpened so much that when you need to use it, you can go to work. The same law as the barbell applies. The demand exceeded what I was comfortable with, and I was forced to adapt into somebody who could handle it. Comfortable business owner running comfortable business, it doesn't grow for the exact same reason that a comfortable lifter does not grow. No demand, no adaptation. If I hadn't have hadn't gone through these challenges, if I had have just accepted the way things were, if I hadn't have done the work to come out the other side of them, we either wouldn't exist anymore because we'd have drifted into a failed business, or we would be going along and we would be muddling through and just struggling, and it would not be a positive environment to be in for anybody. So I think when it comes to it, if there is simply no demand, there is no adaptation. I think we've seen that across here. And I see it in our members too, not only on the gym floor and the physical side we talked about it, but on the mental side. Like last week, we had the Boundary Games up in Belfast, and we had, I think it was 15 or 18 people up there competing in it. I was one of them, a CrossFit competition. And that's not something you have to do. When you join a gym, you don't have to go and do a CrossFit event. You don't have to go do a High Rocks race. You don't have to go do a Trika, a 5K. You don't have to do any of these things. None of it is comfortable. More comfortable is staying at home. But these people chose to, number one, buy a ticket to go do a CrossFit competition in Belfast. They chose to get up there on the day. They chose to put themselves out there in front of a room full of strangers under pressure to exercise for time and lift weights and do these hard things in front of people they don't even know, and they did it on purpose. They chose it. And they came back different. The axe is sharpened. It's a little bit stronger. It's more capable. They're more confident. They're probably prouder of themselves because they did something that not very many people do. And it's not because the competition was pleasant by any stretch. It wasn't. Definitely wasn't. I can speak from experience. It was tough. There was moments where it was hard. But they did it anyway. And they chose to do it. And because they chose to do it, they are more resilient and stronger, more capable than they were the week before. That's the whole thing, obviously broken down into one weekend, but they chose resistance, and the choosing changes them. It makes them more likely to take on the next challenge, because if I can do that, well, then I can definitely do the next one. The next time a CrossFit competition pops up, the next time something pops up, or a high rocks, or anything that they get asked to do physically, it's less daunting, it's less challenging, because they know they can do it. So what's the next step? Well, they might challenge themselves to go up to a different division. They might go to a bigger event. They might go to a bigger thing. But the reality is they have sharpened their axes to be stronger and more powerful than ever. So if comfort is the drift and resistance is what interrupts it, then the most useful skill you can build is the habit of choosing resistance on purpose before life actually forces you to do it. Because it will come either way. You're going to face those moments irregardless of your choice. Resistance arrives in everyone's life, whether you invite it or not. Injury, loss, money trouble, hard seasons come for us all. But there is a massive difference between the resistance that happens to you and the resistance you choose. The chosen kind will build you in advance. It's a rehearsal. Every time you voluntarily walk into something hard, the heavy set, the class you were dreading, when you look at Thursday's workout and you think, oh my God, I can't do that, but you still show up anyway. When you sign up for the CrossFit competition, when you sign up for the run club, when you sign up for the High Rocks event, these things, these difficult things that challenge you. And even away from the training floor, maybe it's the difficult conversation with a friend, or a difficult conversation with a colleague, or something you know you have to do, something with a family member, something you've been putting off, but you're choosing to do it. You are training the exact muscle that you need when the unchosen hard thing arrives. And you are going to be more capable of dealing with it because you have been working for it. And that's how training works, right? And here's how you actually do it. You do not need to blow up your life. I know this maybe I leaned a little bit too hard into the heavy and choosing hard and choosing resistance, but it doesn't need to be, world-ending threats every day. To use a nerdy reference, it doesn't have to be an Avengers level threat every time. It can just be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man out for a swing every so often. Here's how you actually do it. You don't blow up your life. You just need to notice when the drift is happening and interrupt it in small and yet deliberate ways. In your training, it's just honest progression. You add a little. The weight that is slightly more challenging than last week, you put that on the bar. The one more rep that you didn't think you could do in the AMRAP. The not stopping 10 seconds before the end and instead choosing to grab the dumbbell and try and get as many in as you can. It's the looking at the workout of the day, and when you think, oh no, I don't like the look of that one, I don't want to go that day, but instead you do, because you know you're going to feel better on the other side, and you know you'll have sharpened your axe. It's not a sign that you've arrived. It's a sign, when you notice the drift, that you need to reintroduce a demand. In your life, it might be choosing the harder and yet better path when the easy one is right there. We all know the times where we've maybe chosen the easy option, and in the moment it gives us a little bit of solace and maybe a little bit of joy as well, in our work lives, in our relationships, and whatever. When in reality we know that if we had have taken the harder and more uncomfortable road, it would have saved us from long-term pain. So choosing the harder but better path when the right one is there, it doesn't mean that you have to be looking for suffering. You're just looking for the smallest, most honest demand that is slightly more than what you're used to. That's the sweet spot. That's where you grow. It doesn't need to be these huge monumental shifts. It's 1% better every day. It's a choice to just do something that makes you slightly uncomfortable, recover, and then go again. So let me leave you with this. Comfort is not the reward for a life well lived. It is the drift that you have to keep interrupting. The strong body, the strong mind, the strong business, the strong character. None of them are actually built in comfort. They are built in the moment you choose to do the thing that is a little hard, a little scary. And then you recover and you choose to do it again. Resistance is not in the way of a good life. Resistance is the price for it. It is going to make you the best version of yourself physically and mentally. And the best news in the world is that the price is the one you get to choose to pay. Small, deliberate doses on your own terms before life hands you the bill instead. So this week, I want you to find your drift. Find the place you've gone comfortable. Maybe you've been hiding from pushing your strength. You've been hiding from really working on the strength work in the gym. Maybe you've been coasting in workouts because you've been focusing only on the strength. Why can't we give each both equal attention? Maybe it's in your personal life. Maybe you've been avoiding a difficult conversation with a friend, a colleague, somebody at work, a family member. Find the place where you've got comfortable. I want you to walk into something hard on purpose, because that's really the whole game, and you will be a more sharpened person for it. And honestly, if the hard thing you've been avoiding is walking into a gym in the first place, then you are drifting, and you definitely know it. So I can promise you that the first step of that resistance is simply to book in a conversation. The heaviest lift you do that day will be simply opening the front door. So interrupt that drift, come in, we'll talk about where you are and where you want to be, and we'll talk about the demand it's going to take to get you there. If you're someone who's in the gym and you've been avoiding doing your goal review because you're thinking, oh, I'm not really looking to grow right now, I'm just looking to stay where I am, that's a sign of the drift. That's a sign that you are afraid to take the next step because there is something holding you back. There's something you're scared of. There's a decision you're avoiding. There's something in classes you're avoiding. We need to challenge you to do more. So book in that goal review. Choose the hard thing. Choose the tough thing. Choose to challenge yourself, because your future self is built on the moments that you did that. And that's it from me today, guys. A little bit more of a philosophical episode, maybe. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed tuning in. I hope maybe this 1 week you're going to choose to do something a little bit harder than you have in the past. That maybe my voice will just linger in your head when you're stepping up to the barbell and you're wondering whether or not you should put an extra kilo on because you think you can, or whether it should be an extra 2.5 kilos because that one makes you slightly nervous. Either or, it's good. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you all next week. Have a great day. I'll chat to you soon.